exemption relating to the approval of an external training facility, an exemption relating to an external instructor qualification to conduct training for SAA pilots, recency, CRM, low visibility operations, UPRT, all-weather operations, RNAV, and operations in ground icing conditions. In other words, it is quite obvious now that SAA version 2.0 will be a reality in the future. And if you want your pilots current on the things above, like being able to fly in all weather conditions, up to date in terms of recency, be able to fly an RNAV approach, then buy a ticket on Airlink or SAFAir, because your SAA pilot ain't going to have those qualifications.
You know what this whole SAA saga is reminding me of? Remember when you were at school and you had your lunchbox, your mom packed you a nice sandwich that you conveniently or maybe mistakenly forgot in your school bag, and then 2 weeks later you're rummaging through trying to find something in your bag and you pull out this box and and there's that ripe sandwich. That's what this whole saga is reminding me of. This is like, but now you're so hungry,
sandwich.
you're not sure if you're going to take a chance on this thing or not. Do you remember those days?
I do.
But
let's talk about
the problem
this.
is we all took a chance.
Not on that.
Not on this one.
No.
Well, what you don't take a chance on ever is aviation safety. That is a non-negotiable. That's been, 118 years of powered flight. The aviation industry has prided itself on being, without question, the safest industry around. Everything that we do is based around aviation safety. Everything. From training, the way we operate, the way we adhere to operating procedures. And there was a blatant disregard for that safety. And it's not, it's against the people that have complied with this over the past 118 years. And it's unacceptable. How EASA let that SAA aircraft into its airspace, I'll never know. But I feel for the CAA in a way, because they're taking a lot of heat, the South African CAA. But it's quite obvious that DPE had their necks chained on this one, and they were trying to, they needed to get that aircraft, certified to operate to Brussels. And it's just ludicrous.
But why? Why?
So
why?
There's why and how. CAA authorized it, but there must have been a push from DPA,
no, there was.
DPE, government, whatever it is, to say this is appropriate.
No, there was a big push there, and who it was at DPE, I think we all know who it is. But what's ludicrous? There was actually an Ethiopian freighter aircraft in Brussels bringing freight to South Africa that it could have gone on.
Not only that one, there were 2 TUI 787s that come to South Africa twice weekly.
There's also a governmental Boeing business jet that is operated by our Air Force, and the Air Force's job is to go and fetch things like vaccines and things like that. So this whole parade was such a joke. And then there was a scathing letter from the DPE to SACAA pretty much about their criticism of this whole flight. That letter had more holes in it than the Swiss cheese model of South African Airways version 2.0. And pathetic. There was a disregard for aviation safety. There's no excuse, and everyone involved should be utterly ashamed.
Well, what was worse was that letter that came out, having a go at everyone who's criticized it, and they're saying this was a test relaunch of the SAA cargo business, and they want to see the viability. There's no viability on it. The very first test, you lost 5 million. I mean, that's enough to say shut it down.
For another 1.7 billion that they own to all the aircraft lessors.
Yeah.
So that hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
I'm going to try and find the link to Guy Leach's article. The article was titled SAA versus CAA versus DPE. I tried to find that link last night. I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes. Very good article, and explains the whole story right from the beginning all the way to the end. And very, very well written and worth a read for sure. And also worth sharing it around the world.
So, our last budget speech. Okay, we've just had it. There is now the zero-based budgeting system that they're doing. And they're going to allocate money to departments on where funding is allocated based on program efficiency and necessity rather than budget history. So what is that telling you? It doesn't matter how you've screwed up in the past. It doesn't matter now. So it's a clean slate for you now. But it's talking about program efficiency. Where is the efficiency with SAA Cargo?
These guys can't even spell efficiency, so...
Yeah, no, look, we can go on for this for ages, but man.
Over it, bro.
Yeah, big time. But have a look at that article, really, really good. And a lot of my gen this week from Duncan Gillespie, all the stuff he's posting on Fly Africa.
He's got some brilliant stuff he brings.
Thanks, Duncan.
Yeah, everything hot off the press.
If you want to know what's going on in aviation, other than the Brown Air podcast...
Yeah, Duncan's your man.
Duncan's your man. No, for sure. Brilliant. We had a cool week because we got our chance to host that webinar with John.
Yeah.
And it went really well. The guys that were on there, I think, all enjoyed it. And I picked a lot up myself. I mean, geez, it's so involved there, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome to see all that info that John had. And how willing he was to just share it with us. I learned a lot. I mean,
well, I was very bittersweet because I was dealing with a client, so I couldn't join. So I'd love to hear more. I mean, what was it entailed?
Look,
I mean, what was the focus? Obviously in LinkedIn, but
without giving John's secrets away, because he offered us this. This was a bit of generosity from him to us, to offer to our network, just to help the guys. Utilize their time effectively. Brett, you'll agree. If you're going to go and sit on social media, then you better be sitting on there achieving something. Yep, if you don't have a plan, your plan is only only as good as the knowledge you have. So you have to have the knowledge. So basically, went through profiles, how to set it up, banners, profile pictures, and all that. All the basic setup. You have to have that set up nicely before you can start posting. Right. So in the next one, because it's a 2-part series, the next one we're going to concentrate on the actual posting side of it. And, what pictures take off, which one would, the difference between posting a video and a picture and an external link and, all that sort of stuff, which is foreign, I think, to a lot of guys. It's even foreign to us. And this algorithm changes so much that you have to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
When I got my command, I posted a picture, I think, of myself and Ryan, one of the first flights we did together or whenever it was. And that picture, it wasn't a special picture. I think I just held the camera and took a photo. But that picture went mad. I mean, I had I hardly had any followers at that stage, and there was 20-odd thousand or even more, 30,000.
I disagree that it wasn't a special picture. It had me in it, bro.
It wasn't taken with a DSLR camera or anything like that. That's what I mean. But it was a standard quick snap, and it went mad. Then I've spent time, writing a decent article and a post, and it's got lots of nice pictures on there, and it gets hardly any views. So there's a huge amount of stuff involved. I'm looking forward to the next one now. And
so for me, the understanding that the algorithms change all the time is the biggest challenge, because you can do a course and everything that you learned there works.
Yep.
Month later, it probably doesn't work, because I've subsequently learned. I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. I've got a lot of connections on LinkedIn, and I value those connections. But when I post something, I didn't realize that if I post a video, say a YouTube,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No.
But that's also why there'll be more webinars to come. It's that you can't just do 2
No.
sessions.
Well,
And then
it comes down to making a decision about your business. Because for me, if I'm running a business or whatever I'm doing, I want to be up to date with everything. So if John is doing it, I don't understand what his business model or his pricing model is. But I would be very happy to say, I'd pay a monthly fee to
Or
get
something like that.
updates.
That's a good idea.
Because that just gives me, I don't have to go and search it.
Yeah.
I was talking to everyone last night at dinner again, saying if I want a tech tip, I want to go and find something out. I don't go and search it anymore. I know who to go to, and I go to the frickin' host here because he's finding stuff which, it's going to take me a hell of a long time, and I don't have time to do it.
Yeah.
So the same applies to John and LinkedIn. I would love to contribute, subscribe to something that on a monthly basis, I'm getting a simple thing to say, guys, it's changed. Have a look at this. And John may very well do that. So
You hear that, John? There's a business model there that Brett's just designed for you. But yeah, you're right, because it changes so often. And there are guys that just have their finger on the pulse with these things all the time. He's one of those guys. But like you say as well, that's why we spend so much time on this, on the first session, to sort out your profile. Because even if the algorithm changes, you're still going to need that profile sorted out. And it's basic stuff. I don't want to give away all John's tips and tricks because, this is actually a paid course that was offered for free. But basic stuff on your profile is, clear picture. And then make sure it's directed in the field that you either are in or want to go in. Pointless having your A330 hours written on the front page if you no longer want to fly or you are in another industry. So it's got to be channeled towards your area of interest, your area of expertise, and at least the area in which you want to move.
What was cool was everybody that participated on Tuesday evening. You could already see on LinkedIn yesterday, the guys were...
because he gave us homework.
Yeah, the guys started doing their homework, and you could see all the action happening on LinkedIn. So it was quite effective. It was very cool to see.
Yeah, well, I still got to sit with the two of you and go through that.
Yeah,
enjoy
that's
it.
where we charge now.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that.
I'm going to put something together in the coming weeks of, using Zoom, because I think that's a big thing. Even, you get invited to these meetings, and I'm quite passionate about this, because if you arrive you got an interview, Brett, you can rely on your natural good looks and charisma to get you through that business meeting. Maybe not you, but Ryan can.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Just my James Bond good looks and bulletproof charm.
There we go.
Waxed.
Every time. But take that away, and now you're on the other side of a computer. You've got to rely on something else.
A stable
Especially if
internet
you-
connection.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you're on the interweb, it's a
Yeah.
little bit dodge.
Was that Ryan? This is what Ryan's Zoom call sounds like.
What's that? Oh.
What was the joke? Squawk 7600. Comms failure.
Yeah, Mr. Comms failure. Yeah. Look, that's one thing, but there are other things you can do. How do you, Brett? I ask you, how can you show professionalism on the other side of a computer screen? Have you thought about it? We haven't thought about it from going for an interview point of view. But someone contacted me the other day that is going for an interview and was asking for a little bit of help here, and they actually lent them one of my older microphones, which is one thing you can do to improve the sound. The sound that you have from your microphone on your laptop or your desktop is not fantastic. So by having a decent microphone, and I'm not saying spend a fortune, you don't need a microphone like we're using now, but a small Samsung Go mic or something like that goes a long way. If they can't hear you, you can't exactly project what you want to say across the screen.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I mean, you can go overboard and have a camera connected as a webcam and all that sort of stuff. And then also, when you're looking at the screen, are you looking at the camera or are you looking at the person you're talking to? Because if you're looking at the person you're talking to in the eye, you're not looking at the camera. So he sees you not looking at
That's
him.
something to get used to, hey?
Yeah.
With those Zoom calls.
Yeah,
It's
but
quite tricky.
Yeah, so who are you going to look at? If the screen is split in two, and the bigger your screen is, actually worse it is, because now you're looking off
Yeah.
at at the person, but you're not actually making that eye contact. Now imagine being in an interview and you're not making eye contact with the guy that's interviewing you or the lady that's interviewing you.
Yeah.
There's a step before that. Most people, I do a lot of Zoom calls with, I have done for pretty much the last year because I can't travel and go and see my clients. So I do the Zoom calls, and most people don't even know how to unmute themselves, turn the video on.
Got that raise your hand function.
Yeah, everything. You got your screen share function. So unless you've gone through, and it's difficult to do a Zoom call with yourself. So you got to find someone who you can say, let's do a call, let's play, let's just spend an hour, try and figure this out. Because that provides a level of professionalism that if you're going for an interview, you've got to have that. That's a non-negotiable. It's like you can't do the Zoom call interview without clothes on. That's a given. This is a given.
So I'd like to do a podcast version of how to do a proper Zoom call, so we can all be in it together, and we'll throw it there on YouTube. So it's pointless using a webinar sort of system for that, because the whole point is trying to teach how to use it in the first place. So we'll throw it on YouTube as a podcast, as a Brian Air podcast. So start giving it some thought, guys.
Sounds good.
Add a bit of value there, because I think it's an unlooked area. And the guys that are going for interviews now, the interviews are going to be over the interweb, as Pilot Parok says. And like Ryan says as well, I mean, look at our limits in this. There's actually nothing wrong with your internet connection at home. You've got the right product. It's you let down by
my service provider.
Your service provider. But now, okay, if that is during an interview, is that going to affect the outcome of the interview?
Damn right.
Right it is.
Yeah, look.
Damn flipping right it is. And you might be affected by it. If you got a schedule with 8 o'clock at night, meet online to discuss this new prospect of a job, and Eskom decide it's time to start their load shedding, you're not going to get that job.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think you can only do so much. The rest is just what it is with this country.
No, for sure.
But you've got to be able to plan and cater your backups.
Yeah.
You've got to you've always got to have a little bit of backup, because it's easy to say, I'm sorry, my connectivity's down, but you've lost the opportunity.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Have a backup.
Yeah.
Have data. Spend 500 Rand.
Yeah.
Buy 3 gigs of data and stream off your phone if necessary. But those type of things are critically important. So I'd love to do the Zoom thing.
Yeah, we must. I think we can add a bit of value, because we on it so often. We've picked up a few things, and I know the questions that I've been asked are from guys that haven't. So it can be quite a daunting thing. So let's give it some thought and do that. The other thing that Alex McPhail's asked me to do, we need to talk about our setup that we've got here. So I want to do a separate show on our setup that we're using, the microphones, through the mixer, and hopefully soon a video switcher as well, so we can move between different shots. The whole setup that we've managed to get to now is a very, very nice podcasting setup, and we've sort of found it by trial and error.
Yeah.
But we actually want to hand out all the information to everyone how we're doing it, because that's our plan, isn't it?
Yep.
So to sort of share the info and that. So yeah, we want to do that, because it is quite a complicated setup if you don't know about it. But it's actually, once everything's up and running, it's actually pretty straightforward. And promoting podcasting in South Africa, that'll be a cool thing to be involved in.
Yeah, it would be quite nice to see a lot more of this type of thing in South Africa.
I'm sorry, is this an aviation podcast, or is it a?
I don't know. It's kind of morphing into
there ain't too much aviation news, is there?
Well, at least if we're doing a podcast and you're doing a Zoom call, at least with a client in Cape Town, you don't have to wear a mask, because if you don't wear a mask on a Flies FM flight, that's 100,000 Rand fine.
100,000 rand.
100,000 rand. If you haven't got the mask, you don't put it on, and they divert and land, you charged 100 grand.
That can be a bit tight.
Jeez.
The Max is in the news quite a lot because so many authorities are authorizing its use again, which is very, very good. And but the Chinese now, they've popped up and said they have serious concerns about the 737 Max. Surprise, surprise there. So you wonder, will they ever allow the Max to fly in China?
I don't know.
If they don't, that is going to be a massive loss.
I think there's more conspiracy behind it,
Oh, of
though,
course.
because they're about to launch their Comac 919, which is a Chinese Russian-built goody McGaffer that they're gonna start flying. So there's probably red tape behind
No,
that.
of course,
So,
definitely.
this
It's a
is-
little bit of an Apple Huawei.
yeah.
This
story.
this is a good question.
Sorry. Just maybe edit that out.
So would you fly the Comac or SAA flight?
I'd fly Comac. Chinese built, operated by the Russians in
Yeah.
Serbia. I'd
Yeah.
still fly the Comac.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. United Airlines, they've just given Boeing a boost. They've ordered an extra 25 units. And according to the airline, the MAX will be the backbone of their domestic fleet, which is really good. And they're going to have 100 MAXs in the sky by 2023, which is awesome. So, yeah, they're growing here. What's the story with Comair's MAX here? Are they going to...
Nothing's happening there because our CAA haven't approved the MAX to fly yet. So
But even Australia's CAA have approved the MAX to fly, and there are no MAXs in Australia. So that's...
yeah, look, our CAA,
Yeah, they've already taken a hit with the whole SAA story.
So yeah, I think Comair will eventually get to it, but it's not in their near future plans.
Yeah, it's a pity because it's sitting here at Denell
Wasting away.
wasting away, and it's such a beautiful looking aircraft. And yeah,
But as you say, CA has got enough on their plate.
How cool
They
would
probably-
that be to get as a studio? Imagine, like they decide not to fly that thing again.
it'll
sell
cost almost as much as what it's cost us to build our studio. Yeah.
Going cheap.
Imagine,
Can we talk about training here, Brett, at Samira?
Oh man, training at Samira has just gone through the roof, which is just so great. I mean, how many guys do we have now? I
We've
think there were
got
9 booked new initial type ratings on the ERJ 145.
Yeah, we got full classrooms, yeah.
Yeah, complete full. ExeJet, Max Air,
Yeah.
a really good variety of airlines coming out down here for training, which is really good. So yeah, we're very happy with the way things are moving. I know Ghana looks like they have opened us up again, effectively. So airlines like Africa World Airlines hopefully will be here in March, April. So it's good to see the guys coming through.
Yeah, that market, the African market is really doing well, particularly on the regional airline side. And even new airlines popping up. I mean, it's quite crazy. But
What I'm concerned about is the minister's little drop in the ocean there, stating strain 3 looks like it's gonna hit sooner than later.
just
and
before Easter.
Just before Easter, I think we're gonna have to shut down alcohol because the bootlegging business is taking a strain. So let's get that going again. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
watch that
that's what
space.
my concern.
yeah, that is the concern for sure. But let's stay positive.
Yeah,
I'm
always.
actually I'm on Facebook now on Duncan Gillespie's Fly Africa. Yeah, picking up more news.
See what's on.
Yeah, there's a couple of jobs available. 1 or 2 jobs are popping up.
There's a lot of that happening. Qatar were advertising the other day that they are putting out to all their pilots that they made redundant not so long ago to come back. Obviously
Qatar
not.
connecting Africa to the world. Who else used to say that?
I
That's
have
what they
no
are.
idea.
Yeah.
They are. I mean,
They
Qatar,
are the version 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are the version 2. Qatar are 28 weekly flights across Cape Town, Durban, and Johannesburg, in line with the airline's steady rebuild of its South African network. Qatar Airways increased its frequency to Cape Town. That's increased to 7 weekly flights. That was from the 1st of March. Durban, 3 weekly flights. That was from earlier in February. And Johannesburg, 18 weekly flights. So quite a serious amount of flying going on by the Qatar guys. They're the biggest airline in the world?
Yeah, I think they are at the moment. Yeah, so that's why they've advertised to their crew, listen, you can come back, we'll pull it in as soon as we are ready for you. So it's nice. It's showing some prospect.
Yeah, looking good. On the local tourism side, there are some seriously good deals, guys and girls, around. So support traveling a bit internally if you can.
We'll do it now before we get another lockdown.
Do it now before there's
Get
another
out there.
lockdown, and do it before all those euros and dollars start coming into the country again and the prices go
Yep.
because there's some seriously good deals, and it's well worth it. I was just looking on booking.com last weekend, and in the Drakensberg, and going through all those things, it makes you realize how beautiful our country actually is and how much there is to see. There's very few countries where you can, say, where do I want to go? Do I want to go into the Lowveld? Do I want to go up towards the Pilanesberg area? Do I want to go to the Drakensberg? Do I want to go to the coast? Who else can do that? Do I want to go in the mountains? Do I want to go to Lesotho?
Yeah. I tell you what, I mean, I went quickly last weekend for we went and did some glamping. It was also one of those weekends we just realized, like you said, South Africa does have a lot to offer, man. And
And from a hospitality side, I'm booking at the moment to go away, and everyone is so eager, so keen. You get a response immediately. The guys follow up with you. They're desperate for your business, and make use of it. It's a brilliant time.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know. We must find some travel agents that are willing to support us on the show, that we can actually push their product, because I know the local travel agents that used to do a lot of overseas, holiday planning. They're doing a lot of local stuff. So you can actually book these local trips as well through travel agents, which is quite cool. One phone call, mention your budget, where you want to go, and if you have kiddies or not, and they can plan an entire trip for you. So well worth it at the moment if you can. Support the local travel industry, because it's taken a massive knock. I mean, really, we can do our bit.
yeah.
I read an interesting article on Africa's survival by default. And, we're talking about taking a road trip and that. If you have a look, this article was talking about Ethiopian and Airlink being the two African winners. Those two airlines are the continent's leaders, and with their code-sharing agreements and everything that they're doing. But the article talking about surviving by default is specifically about the fact that throughout the continent, there is no rail. The roads are bad. So the only two options are either water, which works so far, but air is the only other travel opportunity, way to get from A to B throughout the continent.
Yeah.
So we've got an opportunity to go take a drive and go to the Drakensberg and that. But I see exactly what the author of this is saying. It's like, effectively, African aviation is going to survive regardless of what the situation is around the world. And it has to. So it was just very interesting little article that I went through there.
Last week we encouraged the pilots that aren't flying at the moment to just stay on top of what's happening in the industry, so that you can capitalize when things do turn around. Got to stay on top of the ball, keep up to speed with what's going on, because you're not going to get a exemption from your new airline, that's for sure. Imagine Seme got all the. Remember when Seme went through a bad patch?
Yeah.
And Miles was running around trying to sort things out. They could have done with a couple of exemptions right there. That basically closed the entire company down, cost a hell of a lot of jobs, and I'm sure they didn't need 13 exemptions to keep going. They probably needed 2 or 3. And I can name a lot of other airlines that they've closed down over the years. So not holding back on ripping them a new one.
No. Give it.
The one last thing I want to chat about, just touched on it last week, the travel passports. So Rwanda is the first African airline that is adopting the IATA travel passport. So it's basically an app that goes on your phone, and you upload your negative result on the app, and then it's basically, from what I understand, there's like a QR type code, and this is your proof that you've either been vaccinated or you have you've got a negative result. But there's no standardization, as you'd expect. And I think IATA have come forward. They've built this thing, and I don't know why the other airlines don't just say, right, we'll all adopt the IATA travel passport. But now you got Lufthansa with their own one. I think in Oz they're coming up with their own one. So are we going to be left with a situation where, you know, your negative result is only applicable if you had it done by a certain company, or are they all going to be approved? There's
no standardization.
There's no standardization.
whatsoever.
It's crazy, man.
That's why this whole thing has been a stuff up from the get-go, man.
And it's going to continue that way. Exactly as you're explaining. Every single country, every single airline's got a little different story. So what I see is going to happen, you're going to have your first world countries. They're going to set standards. Second and third world countries are going to have their own. They're slowly going to pull in line once governments start talking. So I think this is beyond an airline making a decision. It's beyond IATA making a decision, because they've proven that they actually can't lead at all. They give recommendations, and that's it.
They give their recommendations, but also, what else can they do? No, everyone else are just saying, well, we're doing our own thing.
Well, they're a toothless dog. They got a bark, and that's it. They got no bite whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's proven. So you're gonna have a government who's gonna say, the States, Britain, Europe, they're gonna say, right, this is it. They're gonna have a full thing. This is the passport that you got to have. This is where you got to have your visa, your jab done, yada, all of that. And then eventually South Africa and all the others are going to slowly fit into it. And then we'll all be controlled perfectly.
Yeah, for sure. You haven't had your vaccine yet, have you?
Yeah, I'm waiting. But you know what? They found, I think it was in Germiston, about 2,500 fake vaccines.
Of course it was in Germiston.
Yeah, I read an article last week as well where people are faking the fact that they are health workers to get this vaccine first. So,
yeah.
Only in this country.
All right.
Well, it's better than some of those Thai Airways employees who are faking death in order to get payouts for it.
Sounds like something that would happen here.
Just when you think you've heard it all, man.
Listen, we want to... The podcasting world is growing here in South Africa, and we've been fortunate enough to be doing this a while. And if there are any other guys out there that want to start a podcast or thinking of starting one, and you want some help along the way, please don't hesitate to give us a shout. As I said, we are going to push out a video that basically explains our whole setup and how we do it, and where we upload it to, and how we shoot it out to the various platforms like Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts and the rest, and even the video to YouTube. So we want to help in that regard. If there's anyone out there that is thinking of starting something and wants a little bit of support, don't hesitate to give us a shout. We really do want to help and play our role in supporting others. So that's our thing.
It's not just someone starting, which is great. I agree with that. But it's also, you had a chat with someone this last week who started doing stuff, put videos out there, was rolling, doing so well. And then, unfortunately, this happens. Family and friends are the two groups of people who will put you down and tell you you're doing something wrong. Yeah. It's stupid. It's embarrassing. Don't do it. And that is the worst thing you can ever do, is pull back and say, now I'm embarrassed about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Do not listen to people.
Yeah.
You got to, if you start something, just go for it, balls to the wall, and just do it. Doesn't matter what anybody says.
Just go full tilt at it.
Exactly.
Particularly with something like this, because if you're holding back, it's very difficult to actually say what you think.
Mhm.
You know, you got thoughts and you want to, shoot it out there. But if you're holding back, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, but every now and again, when you do let your thoughts out, you get this from that thing that you've got in front of you.
Can
so.
we record that?
Yeah, that's actually better than the standard one that
I'll
comes
just
out.
sit here and do sound effects.
Ryan, where can people find our stuff? We need subscribers on YouTube.
Yep. YouTube.
Please help support us on YouTube and subscribe. Click that subscribe button and then the little bell next to it so you can be alerted when there's new videos coming out. And just search for Brian Air Podcast and you'll find us. We've got quite a few videos on there right now. Don't watch our old ones. They were bad.
They were really bad, and I'm really proud of that.
They were bad. Yeah. But
Cool.
hopefully the new ones are getting better. You can find us there. And another area where we can really get some, much needed help is on the platforms like Spotify, but in particular Apple Podcasts. If you can give us a 5-star rating, please, and a review. That really does help push the show to the top of the list when people search for an aviation podcast. There are quite a few aviation podcasts out there. There's some really, really good ones. And, we want to be at the top of that list. We're doing well in India. We're doing really well in the UAE. We're doing really well in Hong Kong. So all the people that are listening to us in those areas, thank you so much. I saw in Hong Kong it shot right up, but I don't know if it was number 1 or number 2 there for a bit. So really doing well there. And then we're getting a hell of a lot of views from India. So to all our Indian supporters, as always. In fact, Ryan, India is our biggest, most of our views. And I'm not talking like 51%. I'm talking like 75%.
It's amazing, eh?
Of the views are in India, and that's on YouTube as well as the audio version of the podcast, which is quite remarkable.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Amazon's doing really well for us lately as well. The Amazon platform's doing really well. So those of you that listen on Amazon as well, please give us a rating and shoot us a review. The reviews really do help us. So support the aviators, please, that don't have a flying job. Yeah, thanks, guys. But anything else from you, Brett?
No, that was a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
There's not always a huge amount of there's always a huge amount of news. There's always a huge amount of negative news. Not really interested in it. We believe that the industry is going to turn around. We believe that tourism is going to pick back up in South Africa. It's going to happen. It's not a if, but, and when. It's going to happen. We just have to keep promoting this industry that we love. We are passionate about it, and that's why I was passionate about the disregard for aviation safety. Here at Samero, we stand for aviation safety. There is no, what did Sully Sullenberger say? The standards are the standards because they are necessary. Throughout the entire history of flight, that's the one thing that has remained true. The most important thing in any flight deck is an experienced, well-trained pilot. Now, if you haven't done the training,
There's just no excuse.
there's no excuse. Shame on you. Until next week,
Cheers, boys.
Have a good one, guys.
cheers for now.
Cheers.